What's going on, everybody? Quancredible here, and today this video is one that I've wanted to do for so long, and now it's finally here. It is basically just breaking down or dissecting the word devil. Now, there will be some spoilery stuff, but I'll let you guys know before then for anime onlys that don't read the manga. And like I said, that'll be like in the video. I'll definitely like tell you when. So the thing with the word devil is I feel like he's really interesting in terms of like, I'm pretty sure me, like anybody else who was reading the series at the time, like seeing the whole struggle of the Midnight Sun or the elves try to take their revenge out on humanity, and then like he just pops up out of nowhere and he ends up being like the person who was behind everything, which was like absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure no one's seen that coming. Like if you predicted that, IQ 300, kudos to you. But as we kind of got more into his story and we got to see more into the flashback of his plan as well as see his abilities, I kind of started, me personally, I started to have a little bit of mixed feelings on him. In terms of him as a villain or antagonist, I think he was really good, and I think he served the purpose he was supposed to serve really well. The first thing I want to start out with is basically talking about him, like his backstory, himself. So like we don't really know much about him, which is like, I get it, we're saving that for later on in the story, like I totally get that. But like in the past we just see he's like this like ghastly figure, and even when like Lumiere asks him like what are you, or like who are you, and he's just like, oh, I don't have a name, I'm hatred, I'm despair, I'm whatever you want me to be. And it's just like, it doesn't really give us a clear-cut answer. And obviously we can assume that like there is a world of demons or whatever, or devils, and that they all live there. But it's like the exact way that he escaped and came to the human world is just really, there's so much mystery behind it. Like my own personal theory for how he came to be would be like there was possibly something had happened and he was able to slip out in that form in the midst of the chaos. Obviously that's really half-baked and there's not a lot to flesh it out. But if someone asked me, or if you were curious what I thought could have happened there, that's Tendo. That's like what I think. And now, as far as his plan, so basically to acquire a body and to acquire a 5-leaf clover grimoire, which is basically that was his plan. Like that sums up everything. So in the beginning, when he tried to do it in the past using the humans to attack the elves, to send Partry, or not Partry, but to send Lich into like this deep depressive state to turn his grimoire into the 5-leaf grimoire and take that and then possibly steal a body at the same time, that right there wasn't a bad plan. Like initially it did not seem like a bad plan. I thought it was pretty good. But him being foiled by Lumiere destroying Lich entirely, and Nero or Sekre ends up sealing him and he can't break out till 500 years later. Now his plan at this point, which was just to sow seeds of hatred and revenge as well as reincarnate the elves to kind of make this thing happen again, that part of the plan is where it kind of gets a little murky for me, just because like I feel like with this plan there's so many variables. Like there's so many instances where I feel like, what if Partry, when he reincarnated first, and what if William got captured, or what if he got found out, or like what if all the elves just got killed in the first place, like when they came back, like what if the Clover Kingdom actually just killed them instead. Like I feel like there was just lots of things where this plan could have went wrong, and it didn't really feel like super IQ 300 plans. It just felt basic. It felt like a really basic plan. And I get it, he is Black Clover's first major antagonist. Like he is the first big bad. Granted, we had like Ravici as the episode 1 antagonist, or we had like Veto in the Sea Temple as like the first like higher stakes antagonist, but like as far as like the overarching bad guy or antagonist of the arc, it was him. And I do think it's really important for like a series to not like overdo it with your first villain. Like I don't think every first villain has to necessarily break the mold, but I do think they have to set the tone. Now in terms of that, I do think he set up the tone really well, like in terms of what we're working with. A lot of people do kind of complain that he just seemed like evil for the sake of being evil, and like I do have an issue with that for some like antagonists or some villains, because sometimes it works. Sometimes people being bad or characters being bad just because they are makes sense for their character. Now he is a literal devil, so an actual devil being evil for the sake of being evil, doesn't sound too crazy to me. It sounds about right. It sounds like he would want destruction and hatred and anger just because. And when you think about it, he really just wanted a body and a grimoire, which isn't like, I don't feel like those are super like horrible demands for a person or for a character. Now, if you're talking like his whatever his more grand goal was after getting these two things, I mean, we can speculate that maybe he wanted to rule the outside world or the human world, or maybe set up so more demons could come out. We could really speculate about that all day. But like, as for what his actual goals were, he more or less kind of accomplished them. He just never got out to really do anything with them. So in terms of being like a menacing villain that kind of actually did achieve his goals, he really did do a good job. Now, his abilities are one thing that are probably like the most interesting thing about him, because he has word soul magic, which is like, I mean, we all know basically anything he says can happen, more or less. He can't make anything happen, but he can basically speak things into existence to an extent. So like, this ability probably still to me is like the most broken ability in Black Clover, to me personally. I mean, anti-magic is still cool and all, but like, this is like borderline reality bending type stuff. So like, it's just, if he was smarter, things would have went so different. Like the fact that his character suffered from so much arrogance and overconfidence, and it really did him in. And like, I am totally cool with like cocky characters. Like, I love Frieza. Frieza is one of my favorite characters, and Frieza talks so much trash. Or take Dio from JoJo's. I love Dio. He talks so much trash, but like the word devil, it got to a point with him where he was just like, I almost like he was stupid. Because like, Asta's anti-magic, granted, it didn't really affect him in the beginning. I still feel like he should have been like somewhat worried about it at some point. Like, he should have somewhat cared. Or because like, just the fact that it took him so long throughout the fight to like finally get serious, because he didn't really get serious until right before he was about to die. So like, the entire time he fought Asta and Yuna the very first time, when he turned Parcher into a dark elf, when he fought against Sharla and Yami, against Lich and Lumiere, like, he was not serious any of these times. He did not get serious until the very, very end, when Asta had like Black Divider and, you know, had his Sword of Zephyr. So it's just like, he had so many opportunities to just kill everybody and leave, but he just wanted to goof off. And it's like, dude, you had no reason to do that. So his ability is broken, but he himself was just questionable. That's another thing why I kind of like him, iffy on him fully being a mastermind, just because he had a whole plan, but like, when like outside of his planning, he just felt a little stupid. Now, back to his abilities, like I was saying, he can make almost anything happen, but this is with limits. Now, like, what I believe his limits were is obviously it's the same thing as what Yami said, where he never told anybody to just die, so he can't like straight up kill anybody with his words. So one of the first ones that I thought of is he can't necessarily manipulate life. He can't manipulate life. So like, by that I mean like, he can't make people die, or inverse, I don't believe he would be able to bring people back to life. Granted, I can't think of anybody the word devil would want to bring back to life, but I'm assuming he can't just bring people back to life, just because those two things, life and death, are typically connected. I also don't believe he can affect things that are significantly stronger than himself. I also don't believe he can necessarily affect things that are stronger than himself. So like, by that I mean like, any character or ability that would be stronger than what his strongest is, he wouldn't be able to do anything with. Like, say like for whatever reason Goku is in Black Clover and he throws a spirit bomb at him. I don't think the word devil could just say return and the spirit bomb just goes back to Goku. Like, that would be weird. That would just be totally strange. And the other one is, I obviously don't think he can affect arcane magic. So like, Yami's dark magic, he always dodged it. He couldn't really do anything with it. Same thing for anti-magic. That one's kind of obvious. I don't think he could just like tell Asta's swords to come to him and that just be the end of it. Or like, I don't think he could say anything that could affect Asta's swords. As well as like other arcane magics. But like aside from those couple things, his ability is totally broken. It's totally broken, because even if you can't necessarily affect people stronger than you, there are still things that you can do to like get the advantage over people that are stronger than you. Say like making things happen or making things appear, moving yourself. Like essentially you can imitate almost any magic you want to with this. It's a super broken ability. Now this next part is, like I said earlier, is where the spoilers are going to get involved. So if you're anime only, you don't want to hear anything, you can just click off. It's cool. Like and sub. I appreciate you for staying this long. But for all my spoiler people, this is where it starts. So now I can finally start using his name, Zagrid, because saying word devil, that's too many syllables. But the thing with Zagrid is, in terms of what kind of devil he is, I don't necessarily think he was high ranking like Luciforo or any of the Dark Triad's devils, especially since like Majecula was said to be much stronger than he was. I think he was more or less in the middle. And like I kind of think, because we know like there's like the devils like that when people use like forbidden magic, it like opens like ways for them to get in. And like I really think he was more or less like, I don't want to say a scout, but like a mid-level, like a mid-level demon that was able to get out and was supposed to like set up for them. That's kind of what I think he was meant to do, just because like Luciforo seemed to know who he was. And also Zagrid himself mentioned that there was a pecking order when fighting against Asta, and meaning like he is aware of the fact that there are ranks. So the fact that he's like knowledgeable of the like inner devil's ranking class, as well as like Lucifero obviously being higher ranking than him, this is all like educated guess. I'm just assuming he's somewhere in the middle, but not like too high up, like probably like middle, maybe lower middle. And then from a story perspective, this would make a lot of sense, just because I doubt that Tabata would want, or not even Tabata, but any author would want their like first appearance of this other race of devils to be like the strongest or close to the strongest, because then you don't really have lots of room to play with when introducing other devils like Luciforo or Majecula or anything like that. Now I don't necessarily think we'll see him come back, just because I mean obviously Asta killed him and all that kind of stuff, but I do think he'll be referenced again. Like I think the way that Tabata kind of brought him up and left a lot of his details about his past and who he was just a secret, and like how he just kind of filled in that little hint of like his name, because for a long time we didn't even have a name for him, but it's just how he's like just little by little patching in information. I think that is a really good use of a character like him. Overall, as an antagonist, I think the Word Devil works out really well for Black Clover story. I think he accomplished what he wanted, like what he needed to do, and set the tone for the later half of the story. Now that we're getting to seeing more devils along with the Dark Triad and stuff like that. Let me know what you guys think about the Word Devil. Do you guys think he was a great villain? Do you guys think he was kind of meh? Do you guys think he was kind of lame? Like, do you think he served his purpose in the story well? Or do you wish he was like better or held more significance? Do you want to see him come back at any point? Or do you just want to see him stay dead? You never want to see him again? I totally kind of am on that one. I kind of don't want to see him pop back up. Like kind of once a lot of villains kind of are past their term, I don't ever want to see them again. But I want to know what you guys think about that. Thank you for watching the video. Please like and sub. I appreciate all that stuff. If there's anything you guys want to see, let me know that down below, and I will catch you guys in my next video.